Come the general election in 2015, what would be a good result for UKIP?
We don't know. It's as simple as that. I mean, we're still talking 2 years out at the moment, Andrew, and of course there are big elections in between, and it's all down to ourselves, really. We've got to keep up this momentum. We've got to go on and win the European elections next year, but crucially, I think, is the 5,000 council seats which are up for election on May the 22nd next year. And if we can take seats in the big urban areas and we can create bridgeheads, then you know what? We may be able to replicate the Liberal Democrats and take seats in the general election from a base of local government.
But at the moment, as things look, and you're quite right, it could change, but as things look at the moment, from the Ashcroft poll that came out earlier this week, in those seats where the Conservatives are a bit ahead of Labour, the main impact you look like having is that you'll take votes from the Tories and you'll let Labour in, although you won't win any seats yourself. So vote UKIP and get Ed Miliband.
Andrew, please don't fall into this Westminster bubble media trap here.
Well, we're both in Westminster at the moment.
Conservatives, but it doesn't. Of course, but it is a bubble. I mean, please, honest. I mean, just look at the by-election results that we've had over the past 2 years in the north of England, where we finished consistently second to Labour, polling as much as 26% of the vote. We're taking votes not just from the Conservatives, we're taking a proportion from Labour, some from the Liberal Democrats, but hey, it's good for politics because we're taking votes from people who haven't voted for the past 20 years as well.
You seem to have a permanent problem, though, with some of your MEPs and leading members. They periodically, one of them, they all seem to walk out. Is this because UKIP is really a one-man band and Mr. Farage has slightly dictatorial tendencies?
No, basically what we've done is we've tightened up the process. I hope it's not a one-man band anyway, otherwise I may as well take the earpiece out and go off and get back lecturing again or something.
But we're doing our best to make it a two-man band by having you on the programme.
Thank you very much, Andrew. It's appreciated, mate. Look, you know, we tightened up our process this time round. We've gone through the most stringent tests that you could believe. Probably out of all of the political parties, our tests have been the most stringent for our MEPs. And if some have fallen by the wayside, well, I'm sorry, that's just hard luck. And what we will do is, I think, we will send more MEPs back to Brussels next year on May the 22nd than any of the other political parties put together. And to ensure that that is the case, we have to get the process right.
But what is it about? I mean, is this a feature of all insurgent parties that you fall out with each other at some stage? I mean, you've just lost Mike Nattrass. Before that, Nikki Sinclair. She's now founded her own party. It seems to be a common theme here. And Marta Andressen, who was a leading UKIP light for a few seconds, has now joined the Tories. I think you've lost Campbell Bannerman as well. So what's the story here?
Well, hang on. I mean, the Conservatives lost one to the Liberal Democrats. We gained one from the Conservatives. You know, people lose politicians. That happens. We're a young party, Andrew. We're only 20 years old this week. And young parties go through growing pains. I can assure you now that next time it will be different, and the people that we get in the European Parliament next time round will be solid, good people who will take the cause of British withdrawal forward, and they won't be leaving UKIP for anybody else.
Is it still the case that getting out of the European Union is your raison d'etre? That you've got other policies now, I understand that, but that's your core mission. You wouldn't exist if it wasn't for that policy, correct?
Correct. We wouldn't exist because the party would never have been formed in the first place, would it? I mean, UKIP was born to get us out of the European Union. We've been very successful in driving public opinion. Listen to what Nigel said earlier. When the party was formed, only 16% of people believed that Britain would be better off outside the EU. It's now in the late 60s. We've driven public opinion and we've been very successful. But look, we have to broaden our agenda. It's very important. And if you're talking earlier about an Ashcroft poll, there was a poll the other month by the same noble lord which said that people are flocking to UKIP, not just on the issue of the European Union, but on immigration and crime as well.
Now, you talked about how you're giving great scrutiny to who's going to be standing for you, but are you sure about that? I mean, if you were to scrutinise Nigel Farage now, you might not let him stand given what seemed to be his hard right attitudes when he was at Dulwich Public School.
Andrew, come on, mate, this is a non-story. I mean, we're talking about what went on in his school days here. If you listen to the headmaster and the deputy headmaster of that school, they're saying something completely different than one far-left teacher, it looks like, who's got an axe to grind against Nigel. It's not really a story, and if this is the best that the media outlets can do, then, you know, it's pretty sorry state. So
you can assure us today that you have purged your ranks of the hard right, racist, illiberal tendency, correct?
Well, look, Andrew, when I became the chairman in 2008, we had a problem within the party. The party had been infiltrated by the far right, and we dealt with that issue before the 2009 European elections. And since then, we've had a blanket ban on anybody who's ever been a member of a far-right organisation joining UKIP. We're the only political party in this country that has that ban at the moment. And look, you know, the Labour Party has elected councillors who've crossed the floor from the BNP. We don't hear people talking about them in this breath, do we? Look, we do not have a problem with the far-right in our party, period.
But you are overwhelmingly white and strongly male. I mean, you're almost as white and male as the Lib Dems.
Well, look, I agree with you. I genuinely believe that UKIP needs to change the perception. I agree that we are too white. I also think we're too middle class, and I also think we're too male. And that's why I hope the list next time round for the European elections includes a more eclectic bunch of people, because actually, if UKIP wants to progress and move forward, we have to be representative of society as a whole.
All right. Final question, Paul Nuttall. It isn't really a matter of tactics. You've said to me before, and you've said again, that you're going to win the European elections next year, that you'll come first, you'll get the most vote, and because it's a PR kind of system, you'll therefore have the most MEPs. Are you sure are you sure you're right to set the bar that high? Because it can only disappoint, can it not?
Well, not. Why not? I mean, it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. We believe that the majority of British people at the moment agree with UKIP's policy, and if Cameron doesn't bring forward a referendum, and if the other parties don't offer a referendum, we will make next year, the 2014 European elections, a referendum that you never had. And that's why I believe, genuinely, we have a great opportunity of winning.